Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. Imagine waking up tomorrow with the same dreams, the same goals, the same potential, but one thing is different. The voice inside your head is no longer your enemy. The fear is gone. The doubt is silent. The excuses have disappeared. Every thought pushing you backward has lost its power. How different would your life be? Now let me ask you something. What if the reason you're not where you want to be has nothing to do with your talent? What if it's not your background? What if it's not your resources? What if it's not the people around you? What if the greatest obstacle standing between you and the life you want is the person staring back at you in the mirror every morning? Because every single day, a battle is taking place inside your mind. A battle nobody sees. A battle nobody talks about. A battle that determines whether you move forward or stay stuck. It's the battle between discipline and distraction, between courage and fear, between growth and comfort, between the person you are today and the person you're capable of becoming. Most people lose this battle before they even begin. They wake up and surrender to their emotions. They surrender to their excuses. They surrender to the voice that tells them they're not good enough, not smart enough, not talented enough, not ready enough. And little by little, they hand over control of their future without even realizing it. But here's what most people never understand. Your mind is the most powerful weapon you will ever possess. If your mind believes you are defeated, you are defeated. If your mind believes you cannot win, you won't even try. But if you learn to master your mind, if you learn to control your thoughts, your emotions, your focus, and your actions, you become unstoppable. The truth is, your life is moving in the direction of your strongest thoughts. The conversations happening inside your head right now are creating the reality you will live tomorrow. That's why some people rise after failure while others stay down. That's why some people push through pain while others quit. That's why some people create extraordinary lives while others spend years wondering what could have been. So today, I want you to stay with me until the very end, because this is not just another motivational speech. This is a wake-up call, a challenge, a mirror. And before this message is over, you may discover that the biggest battle you've been fighting was never against the world. It was against your own mind. And once you learn how to win that battle, everything changes. Most people think the biggest battles in life happen outside of them. They think the battle is against competitors, difficult circumstances, financial problems, criticism, failure, or the obstacles standing in their way. But the truth is that the greatest battle you will ever fight is not outside of you. It is inside of you. Every single day, from the moment you wake up until the moment you go to sleep, there is a war taking place in your mind. It is a battle between the person you are today and the person you are capable of becoming. It is a battle between your dreams and your doubts. It is a battle between discipline and distraction. It is a battle between courage and fear. The outcome of this battle determines the direction of your life. Many people lose long before they ever step onto the field because they lose the battle in their fear minds. Before they start the business, they convince themselves it will fail. Before they chase the dream, they convince themselves they are not good enough. Before they take the opportunity, they talk themselves out of it. The mind is powerful. It can create confidence or destroy it. It can build momentum or kill it. It can make a strong person weak and a weak person strong. That is why understanding the battlefield of your mind is one of the most important things you can't die. Every morning, two voices wake up with you. One voice tells you to stay comfortable. It tells you to sleep longer, to avoid challenges, to take shortcuts, to settle for less. It tells you that tomorrow is a better day to start. It tells you that the goal is too difficult and the sacrifice is too great. The other voice tells you to get up and fight. It reminds you of your purpose. It reminds you of your purpose. It reminds you of your purpose, of the life you want to create. The question is not which voice exists. Both voices exist in everyone. The real question is which voice you feed. The voice you feed becomes stronger. If you constantly listen to fear, fear grows. If you constantly listen to fear, excuses grow. If you constantly listen to negativity, negativity grows. But if you feed courage, courage grows. If you feed discipline, discipline grows. If you feed belief, belief grows. Your mind is like a garden. Whatever you plant and water every day will eventually grow. You cannot plant doubt and expect confidence. You cannot plant excuses and expect success. You cannot plant fear and expect greatness. The challenge is that the battlefield of the mind is invisible. People can see your actions, but they cannot see the conversations happening inside your head. They do not hear the doubts you fight. They do not see the fears you overcome. They do not know how many times you had to convince yourself to keep going when quitting seemed easier. Yet these invisible battles often matter more than anything visible. Every achievement begins with a mental victory. Before someone becomes successful in the real world, they first become successful in their thinking. Think about how many opportunities are missed because people lose confidence in themselves. They have talent but do not believe in it. They have dreams but are afraid to pursue them. They have potential but allow doubt to become stronger than desire. The problem is not a lack of ability. The problem is a lack of mental control. They allow negative thoughts to take over the battlefield. They surrender without even realizing it. Life will test your mind constantly. There will be days when things do not go according to plan. There will be moments when people doubt you. There will be failures that make you question yourself. There will be setbacks that make you wonder if the journey is worth it. In those moments, your greatest enemy will not be the obstacle in front of you. Your greatest enemy will be the thoughts inside you. If your mind convinces you to quit, no opportunity can save you. If your mind convinces you that you are defeated, no outside support can help you. Everything starts with what you choose to believe. The strongest people are not those who never struggle. The strongest people are those who win the struggle within themselves. They feel fear but move forward anyway. They feel doubt but refuse to surrender to it. They experience failure but continue fighting. They understand that courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is acting despite fear. Mental strength is not about having a perfect mindset all the time. It is about refusing to let temporary negative thoughts control permanent decisions. You must become aware of what enters your mind every day. The books you read, the videos you watch, the conversations you have, and the people you spend time with all influence your thinking. If you surround yourself with negativity, your battlefield becomes harder to win. If you constantly consume messages of doubt, fear, and limitation, your mind begins to accept them as truth. But if you fill your mind with growth, purpose, and positivity, you strengthen yourself for the battles ahead. Every champion understands this principle. They know that success is won twice. First in the mind, and then in reality. Before the victory becomes visible, it must become believable. Before you can achieve something externally, you must see it internally. That is why great performers spend so much time developing mental toughness. They understand that pressure does not create character, it reveals it. When challenges come, your mindset determines whether you rise or fall. There will be moments when nobody believes in you. There will be moments when results are slow and progress seems invisible. There will be moments when everything inside you wants to stop. Those are the moments when the battle becomes most intense. Those are the moments when your future is being decided. Anyone can stay committed when everything is easy. Anyone can stay positive when everything is working. But when life gets difficult, when obstacles appear, and when uncertainty grows, that is when mental control matters most. Remember this, your mind can be your greatest weapon or your greatest weakness. It can push you toward greatness or pull you toward mediocrity. It can create a life of achievement or a life of regret. Every day you are making a choice. Every day you are deciding which voice gets stronger. Every day you are stepping onto the battlefield whether you realize it or not. The people who achieve extraordinary things are not always the most talented. They are often the people who learn to control their minds. They learn to silence excuses. They learn to challenge negative thoughts. They learn to stay focused when distractions appeared. They learned to keep moving when emotions told them to stop. They understood that the battle inside their minds would determine the results they experienced in their lives. So when you wake up tomorrow, understand that the battle has already begun. The battlefield is your mind. The enemy is every thought that tries to convince you to give up on your potential. The mission is to take control of your thinking. The victory is becoming the person you were created to be. And the moment you learn to win the battle within, you give yourself the power to win battles everywhere else. Everything you see in your life today started as a thought. Every achievement, every habit, every decision, every success, and every failure was first created in the mind before it became reality. People often focus on actions because actions are visible, but actions are simply the result of what has been happening in the mind for days, months, or even years. Your thoughts are not harmless. They are not temporary visitors that come and go without consequence. Your thoughts are seeds, and whatever seeds you plant consistently will eventually produce a harvest. That is why understanding that thoughts become actions is one of the most powerful lessons you can ever learn. Most people underestimate the impact of their daily thinking. They believe that success is only about talent, luck, opportunity, or circumstances. While those things may play a role, the truth is that your mindset influences every decision you make. The thoughts you repeat every day shape your beliefs. Your beliefs influence your choices. Your choices create your habits. Your habits determine your results. In other words, your future is being built by the thoughts you are entertaining right now. Think about a person who constantly tells themselves they are not capable. Every challenge they face becomes proof that they should quit. Every mistake becomes evidence that they are not good enough. Every setback feels permanent. Eventually, those thoughts affect their actions. They stop trying. They stop taking risks. They stop pursuing opportunities. They settle for less than they deserve. What started as a thought eventually became a behavior, and that behavior became a lifestyle. Now think about someone who tells themselves that challenges are opportunities to grow. When they face obstacles, they do not see reasons to quit. They see chances to improve. When they fail, they learn. When they struggle, they adapt. Their thoughts lead them to take action. Their actions create progress. Their progress builds confidence. What started as a thought eventually became success. This is why you must pay attention to the conversations happening inside your head. Whether you realize it or not, you are constantly talking to yourself. You are constantly creating stories about who you are, what you can do, and what is possible for your future. Those stories matter because your mind begins to believe whatever you tell it repeatedly. If you tell yourself you are weak every day, eventually you will act weak. If you tell yourself you are capable every day, eventually you will act with confidence. Repetition turns thoughts into beliefs, and beliefs turn into actions. One of the greatest dangers in life is negative thinking that goes unchallenged. A single negative thought may seem harmless, but when repeated enough times, it becomes part of your identity. A person who repeatedly thinks, "I am not disciplined," begins to act undisciplined. A person who repeatedly thinks, "I will never succeed," begins making choices that support failure. A person who repeatedly thinks, "I am not worthy," begins accepting less than they deserve. The mind is always listening. The thoughts you repeat are becoming instructions for your behavior. The opposite is also true. Positive and empowering thoughts create positive and empowering actions. When you consistently think about growth, your actions begin to align with growth. When you consistently think about excellence, your standards rise. When you consistently think about possibilities instead of limitations, you start seeing opportunities that others miss. The difference between many successful people and unsuccessful people is not intelligence. It is not talent. It is not luck. It is often the quality of the thoughts they choose to focus on every day. Consider an athlete preparing for a championship. Long before they step onto the field, they have already visualized success. They have imagined victory. They have trained their minds to believe they can perform under pressure. Those thoughts influence how they practice, how they prepare, and how they respond to challenges. Their mindset affects their actions. The same principle applies to every area of life. Whether you are building a business, pursuing an education, improving your health, or chasing a dream, your thoughts are directing your behavior. Many people want different results without changing their thinking. They want success while constantly focusing on failure. They want confidence while constantly feeding insecurity. They want discipline while constantly entertaining excuses. But life does not work that way. If you want different actions, you must first create different thoughts. The mind is the starting point. Change the way you think, and you begin changing the way you act. This does not mean pretending problems do not exist. It does not mean ignoring reality. It means choosing thoughts that help you move forward rather than thoughts that hold you back. Challenges are real. Obstacles are real. Difficulties are real. But focusing only on what is wrong often creates paralysis. Focusing on solutions creates action. The thoughts you choose determine whether you become a victim of circumstances or a creator of possibilities. Your thoughts also influence your level of persistence. When things become difficult, negative thinkers often stop because they interpret setbacks as signs of defeat. Positive thinkers continue because they interpret setbacks as part of the process. The challenge is the same, but the thoughts are different. And because the thoughts are different, the actions are different. One person quits while another keeps going. One person gives up while another grows stronger. The difference begins in the mind. Every habit you have today was once a thought. Before someone develops the habit of exercising, they first think about becoming healthier. Before someone becomes financially responsible, they first think about managing money wisely. Before someone develops confidence, they first think differently about themselves. Habits do not appear out of nowhere. They begin as repeated thoughts that eventually become repeated actions. What you think consistently, you eventually do consistently. That is why protecting your mind is so important. Be careful what you allow into it. The content you consume, the people you listen to, the environment you spend time in, and the messages you repeat to yourself all influence your thinking. If you constantly expose yourself to negativity, your actions will reflect that negativity. If you constantly expose yourself to growth, discipline, and possibility, your actions will reflect those qualities instead. You must become intentional about your thoughts. Do not allow every negative idea to stay in your mind without question. Challenge it. Replace it. Redirect it. When your mind says you cannot do something, ask yourself if that is really true. When your mind focuses on failure, remind yourself of your progress. When your mind tries to convince you to quit, remember why you started. Winning in life often begins with winning these small mental battles. The reality is simple but powerful. Every action begins as a thought. Every habit begins as a thought. Every success begins as a thought. Every breakthrough begins as a thought. The life you are building tomorrow is being shaped by the thoughts you are choosing today. If you want stronger actions, develop stronger thoughts. If you want better habits, develop better thoughts. If you want a better future, start by improving the conversations you have with yourself. Your thoughts are not just passing moments in your mind. They are blueprints for your future. They are the foundation of your decisions. They are the architects of your habits. They are the starting point of every achievement. Guard them carefully. Feed them wisely. Direct them intentionally. Because what you think repeatedly, you eventually believe. What you believe, you eventually act upon. And what you repeatedly act upon ultimately becomes the story of your life. One of the biggest reasons people fail to reach their potential is because they allow their emotions to control their decisions. They wake up and decide what to do based on how they feel. If they feel motivated, they work hard. If they feel tired, they stop. If they feel confident, they take action. If they feel afraid, they hesitate. If they feel inspired, they move toward their goals. If they do not feel inspired, they make excuses. The problem with living this way is that emotions are constantly changing. They rise and fall like waves. If your decisions are controlled by your emotions, your progress will always be inconsistent. The truth is that feelings are temporary, but decisions create long-term consequences. A person may feel tired today, but skipping the work that needs to be done can delay progress for weeks or months. A person may feel afraid before taking an opportunity, but avoiding that opportunity could mean missing a life-changing breakthrough. A person may feel discouraged after a failure, but giving up in that moment could prevent them from achieving the success that was waiting just around the corner. The greatest achievers understand something that many people never learn. Emotions should be acknowledged, but they should not be allowed to take control. Every day you are faced with a choice. You can either follow your feelings or follow your purpose. Purpose moves you forward. Feelings often try to pull you backward. Purpose reminds you of your goals. Feelings focus on temporary comfort. Purpose asks what is necessary. Feelings ask what is easy. Purpose looks at the future. Feelings focus only on the present moment. If you want extraordinary results, you must learn how to make decisions based on purpose rather than emotion. Think about how many dreams have been abandoned because someone listened to a temporary feeling. They felt scared, so they stopped. They felt overwhelmed, so they quit. They felt uncertain, so they gave up. The feeling itself was temporary, but the decision they made because of that feeling created permanent consequences. Fear does not last forever. Doubt does not last forever. Frustration does not last forever. But if you allow those emotions to make your decisions, they can change the direction of your entire life. There will be days when you do not feel like waking up early. There will be days when you do not feel like studying, working, training, or improving yourself. There will be days when motivation disappears completely. On those days, your emotions will tell you to wait until tomorrow. They will tell you to take it easy. They will tell you that one day does not matter. But success is built on the days when you do not feel like doing the work and do it anyway. Anyone can perform when they feel good. Anyone can stay committed when they are excited. The real test of character comes when your feelings are working against you. Many people believe that successful individuals are somehow immune to negative emotions. They imagine that high performers never experience fear, doubt, anxiety, frustration, or disappointment. But that is not true. Successful people feel the same emotions as everyone else. The difference is that they do not allow those emotions to make decisions for them. They understand that emotions provide information, but they do not always provide direction. Just because you feel afraid does not mean you should stop. Just because you feel uncomfortable does not mean you are on the wrong path. In fact, some of the greatest opportunities in life exist on the other side of discomfort. Imagine a person standing at the edge of a major opportunity. They have a chance to start a business, pursue a dream, apply for a position, or make a significant change in their life. At that moment, fear appears. Their heart races. Their mind fills with uncertainty. Their emotions begin creating worst-case scenarios. If they allow fear to make the decision, they will stay where they are. Years later, they may still wonder what could have happened if they had acted despite the fear. The emotion was temporary, but the regret lasted much longer. This is why emotional control is one of the most valuable skills you can develop. Emotional control does not mean pretending emotions do not exist. It does not mean becoming cold or disconnected. It means recognizing what you feel without allowing it to dominate your choices. It means understanding that you can experience fear and still move forward. You can experience doubt and still take action. You can experience disappointment and still continue. Emotional control is the ability to stay committed to your values and goals, even when your value feelings try to pull you away from them. One of the greatest dangers of emotional decision making is that emotions often focus on short-term comfort rather than long-term success. Your emotions want immediate relief. They want the easier path. They want to avoid struggle. They want to escape discomfort. But growth rarely happens inside your comfort zone. Growth happens when you do things that challenge you. Growth happens when you stay disciplined despite temptation. Growth happens when you continue moving even when every emotion is telling you to stop. Think about physical fitness. If someone only exercises when they feel motivated, their results will be limited. Motivation comes and goes. Some days they will feel energized. Other days they will feel exhausted. If they rely entirely on emotions, they will be inconsistent. But if they commit to exercising regardless of how they feel, they develop discipline. Over time, discipline produces results that motivation alone could never achieve. The same principle applies to every area of life. The strongest people are not those who never struggle emotionally. They are the ones who refuse to let emotions become excuses. They understand that feelings are temporary visitors. They come and go. A bad day does not mean a bad life. A difficult moment does not mean a failed journey. A setback does not mean the end of the road. They learn to separate temporary emotions from permanent decisions. When frustration appears, keep moving. When fear appears, keep moving. When doubt appears, keep moving. The goal is not to eliminate emotions. The goal is to prevent emotions from controlling your direction. There will always be reasons to quit. There will always be reasons to quit. There will always be emotions trying to convince you that the struggle is not worth it. But if you allow every emotion to determine your actions, you will spend your life reacting instead of leading. The people who achieve greatness understand that their future is too important to be controlled by temporary feelings. They make decisions based on values, purpose, vision, and commitment. They understand that emotions change from day to day, but their goals remain the same. They understand that feelings cannot always be trusted because feelings often reflect the plea moment rather than the mission. Your purpose must be stronger than your emotions. Your commitment must be stronger than your fear. Your vision must be stronger than your doubt. Every day, you must choose whether you will be led by how you feel or by what you know needs to be done. One path leads to inconsistency, excuses, and unrealized potential. The other leads to growth, discipline, and achievement. At the end of the day, your emotions are powerful, but they should never be the captain of your life. Let them speak, but do not let them steer. Listen to them, but do not surrender to them. Respect them, but do not obey them blindly. Because the moment you stop allowing temporary emotions to control permanent decisions is a moment you begin taking true control of your future. One of the biggest misconceptions people have about success is believing that motivation is in fact the key to achieving great things. They think they need to feel inspired before they can take action. They wait for the perfect mood, the perfect mindset, the perfect burst of energy before they begin working toward their goals. But the truth is that motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. Some days you wake up feeling unstoppable. Other days you wake up feeling exhausted, discouraged, and uninspired. If your success depends on motivation, then your progress will always depend on your feelings. And feelings change constantly. This is why discipline is far more powerful than motivation. Motivation can get you started, but discipline keeps you going. Motivation is an emotion. Discipline is a decision. Motivation is temporary. Discipline is consistent. Motivation depends on circumstances. Discipline depends on commitment. The people who achieve extraordinary things understand that motivation is a bonus, not a requirement. They do not wait until they feel like taking action. They take action because they made a commitment to themselves. Think about how many people start the year excited about their goals. They are motivated to get fit, build a business, improve their finances, learn new skills, or change their lives. For a few days or a few weeks, everything goes well. They wake up early, they stay focused, they work hard, but eventually the excitement fades. The motivation that once felt so powerful begins to disappear. This is where most people quit. They mistake the loss of motivation for a sign that they should stop. They believe that because they no longer feel inspired, they no longer need to continue. But successful people understand something different. They know that motivation was never supposed to carry them all the way. They know that discipline must take over when motivation leaves. They know that real growth begins when excitement ends. Anyone can work hard when they feel motivated. Anyone can stay committed when they are excited about the journey. The true test comes when the excitement disappears and the work remains. Discipline means doing what needs to be done even when you do not feel like doing it. It means showing up when you are tired. It means staying focused when distractions appear. It means continuing the process when results are slow. Discipline is not about being perfect. It is about being consistent. It is about making the right choice repeatedly, even when it is difficult. Imagine an athlete training for a championship. There will be days when they feel strong and energized. On those days, training feels easy. But there will also be days when they feel tired. Days when their body aches. Days when they would rather stay in bed. If they only train when they feel motivated, they will never reach their full potential. The athletes who become champions are the ones who train regardless of how they feel. Their discipline allows them to keep moving when motivation is nowhere to be found. The same principle applies to every area of life. If you are building a business, there will be days when you feel excited and confident. There will also be days when you feel frustrated and uncertain. If you are pursuing an education, there will be days when learning feels rewarding and days when it feels overwhelming. If you are improving your health, there will be days when exercising feels easy and days when it feels like a struggle. The people who succeed are not those who always feel motivated. They are those who remain disciplined through every season. One reason discipline is so powerful is because it creates momentum. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen your confidence. Every time you follow through despite not feeling like it, you prove to yourself that your actions are not controlled by your emotions. Small acts of discipline build trust. They create evidence that you can depend on yourself. Over time, that self-trust becomes one of your greatest strengths. Many people underestimate the importance of keeping promises to themselves. They say they will wake up early but hit the snooze button. They say they will work on their goals but choose distractions instead. They say they will stay committed but quit when things become difficult. Every broken promise weakens their confidence because deep down they begin to doubt their own word. Discipline reverses this process. Every time you do what you said you would do, you build credibility with yourself. You begin to believe that you are capable of following through. Discipline also protects you from the dangers of inconsistency. Motivation creates peaks and valleys. One day you work extremely hard because you feel inspired. The next day you do nothing because you do not. This pattern creates unstable progress. Discipline creates steady movement. It allows you to continue making progress even when your emotions fluctuate. It turns success from something accidental into something intentional. The reality is that life will not always be convenient. There will be obstacles. There will be setbacks. There will be moments when you question yourself. During those moments, motivation often disappears. If you have not developed discipline, you may stop completely. But if discipline has become part of your character, you continue moving forward. You continue showing up. You continue doing the work. And over time, those disciplined actions create extraordinary results. One of the greatest advantages of discipline is that it frees you from depending on your feelings. Feelings are unpredictable. Some mornings you feel confident. Other mornings you feel uncertain. Some days you feel energetic. Other days you feel drained. If you wait until you feel ready, you may spend your entire life waiting. Discipline teaches you that readiness is often created through action. You do not have to feel motivated to begin. Often, motivation appears after you start. Think about how often people say, "I just don't feel like it today." That single sentence has stopped countless dreams. It has delayed progress, destroyed opportunities, and kept people trapped in mediocrity. Discipline answers that sentence with a different response. Discipline says, do it anyway. Not because it is easy, not because it is enjoyable, but because your future is too important to be controlled by temporary emotions. Greatness is rarely built through dramatic moments of inspiration. It is built through ordinary moments of discipline. It is built when nobody is watching. It is built when excuses are available but ignored. It is built when distractions are tempting but resisted. It is built when quitting seems easier but you choose to continue. These small decisions may not seem significant in the moment, but they compound over time into remarkable results. The people you admire most are often not the most motivated people in the world. They are the most disciplined. They have learned how to keep going when motivation disappears. They have learned how to stay focused when distractions multiply. They have learned how to remain committed when results are slow. Their success is not the product of constant inspiration. It is the product of consistent action. At the end of the day, motivation is a visitor. Sometimes it arrives and sometimes it leaves. Discipline is a permanent companion. It stays when excitement fades. It stays when challenges arise. It stays when emotions fluctuate. It stays when progress feels invisible. And because it stays, it produces results that motivation alone never could. If you truly want to take control of your life, stop depending on motivation. Appreciate it when it comes, but do not rely on it. Build discipline instead. Train yourself to act regardless of how you feel. Train yourself to follow through on your commitments. Train yourself to stay consistent when others quit, because motivation may help you start the journey, but discipline is what carries you across the finish line. One of the most powerful forces in your life is something that most people never pay enough attention to. It is not your circumstances. It is not your education. It is not your talent. It is not even the people around you. It is the voice inside your head. Every single day you are having conversations with yourself. You are telling yourself stories about who you are, what you can do, what you deserve, and what is possible for your future. These conversations happen so often that many people do not even notice them anymore. Yet they have the power to shape confidence, influence decisions, and determine the direction of an entire life. The way you speak to yourself matters because your mind is always listening. If you constantly tell yourself that you are not good enough, eventually you begin to believe it. If you constantly tell yourself that success is impossible, eventually you stop trying. If you constantly focus on your weaknesses, your mistakes, and your failures, your confidence begins to shrink. Negative self-talk is dangerous because it often sounds believable. It disguises itself as reality when in many cases it is simply fear speaking. Many people become their own greatest obstacle. They spend years fighting battles that exist only in their minds. Before anyone else criticizes them, they criticize themselves. Before anyone else doubts them, they doubt themselves. Before anyone else limits them, they limit themselves. The words they repeat internally become chains that hold them back from reaching their lowest potential. They may have opportunities in front of them, but their self-talk convinces them they are not ready. They may have talent, but their self-talk convinces them they are not capable. They may have dreams, but their self-talk convinces them they are unrealistic. The tragedy is that many people would never speak to a friend the way they speak to themselves. If a friend made a mistake, they would offer encouragement. If a friend experienced failure, they would remind them to keep going. If a friend felt discouraged, they would provide support. Yet when they make a mistake, they become harsh critics. When they fail, they attack themselves. When they struggle, they assume the worst. They create a standard for themselves that is far more destructive than anything they would ever impose on someone else. Negative self-talk often begins with small thoughts. A mistake becomes, I always mess things up. A challenge becomes, I can't handle this. A setback becomes, I'll never succeed. These statements may seem harmless in the moment, but repetition gives them power. The more often you hear something, the more likely you are to believe it. Over time, these thoughts become beliefs, and beliefs become behaviors. A person who believes they cannot succeed often stops taking action. A person who believes they are not capable often avoids opportunities. A person who believes they are destined to fail often creates the very outcome they fear. This is why mastering negative self-talk is so important. You cannot always control every thought that enters your mind, but you can control which thoughts you choose to believe. Not every thought deserves your trust. Just because a thought appears does not mean it is true. Just because fear speaks does not mean you should listen. Just because doubt enters your mind does not mean it deserves a permanent place there. Think about how often fear disguises itself as logic. You want to pursue a goal and a voice says, what if you fail? You want to take a risk and a voice says, you're not ready. You want to step outside your comfort zone and a voice says, people will judge you. These thoughts often feel real because they are connected to emotion. But if you examine them carefully, you will discover that many of them are assumptions, not facts. They are predictions, not realities. They are possibilities, not certainties. One of the most effective ways to challenge negative self-talk is to question it. When your mind says, I can't do this, ask yourself why. When your mind says, I'm not good enough, demand evidence. When your mind says, I'll never succeed, remember past victories. Most negative thoughts become weaker when they are examined honestly. They survive because they are accepted automatically. The moment moment you challenge them, you begin taking away their power. This does not mean replacing every negative thought with unrealistic positivity. It does not mean pretending that challenges do not exist. It means speaking to yourself with honesty and strength. Instead of saying, I can't do this, say, this is difficult, but I can learn. Instead of saying, I'm a failure, say, I made a mistake and I can improve. Instead of saying, I'll never succeed, say, success will require effort, but I am willing to keep going. The goal is not perfection. The goal is accuracy. Most negative self-talk is not accurate. It exaggerates weaknesses and ignores strengths. Another reason negative self-talk is so dangerous is because it influences what you focus on. The mind tends to find evidence that supports what it already believes. If you constantly tell yourself that you are unlucky, you will notice every setback and ignore every opportunity. If you constantly tell yourself that you are incapable, you will notice every mistake and overlook every success. Your focus shapes your perception, and your perception influences your actions. The people who achieve great things are not people who never experience negative thoughts. They experience doubt, fear, uncertainty, and frustration just like everyone else. The difference is that they refuse to let those thoughts take control. They recognize negative self-talk for what it is, a mental habit, not a prediction of the future. They understand that confidence is not the absence of doubt. Confidence is the decision to keep moving despite doubt. Every day you have an opportunity to train your inner voice. You can teach it to become stronger, more resilient, and more supportive. This requires practice. It requires awareness. It requires catching negative thoughts before they grow into limiting beliefs. It requires replacing destructive patterns with empowering ones. Just as physical strength is built through repeated effort, mental strength is built through repeated mental discipline. Your inner voice becomes especially important during difficult times. When life is going well, confidence is easy. But when challenges appear, the quality of your self-talk becomes critical. During moments of failure, what do you tell yourself? During moments of uncertainty, what do you believe? During moments when progress feels slow, what story are you repeating? Those answers often determine whether you continue moving forward or give up. Remember that your mind is always listening to the words you repeat. If you constantly speak defeat, defeat becomes more likely. If you constantly speak possibility, possibility becomes more visible. If you constantly focus on limitations, you will act from a place of limitation. If you focus on growth, learning, and improvement, your actions will reflect that mindset. You are going to spend every day of your life with yourself. No one will talk to you more than you do. No one will influence your thinking more consistently than your own inner voice. That is why mastering negative self-talk is not a small skill. It is a life-changing skill. The quality of your thoughts affects the quality of your actions, and the quality of your actions affects the quality of your future. The voice inside your head can become your greatest enemy or your greatest ally. It can convince you to quit or encourage you to continue. It can magnify your fears or strengthen your courage. It can keep you trapped in self-doubt or help you step into your potential. The choice is not whether that voice exists. The choice is whether you will allow it to control you or whether you will train it to support the doubt, life you want to create. The moment you learn to challenge negative self-talk is the moment you begin taking back control of your mind, your actions, and ultimately your future. One of the greatest lessons a person can learn is the difference between what they can control and what they cannot. This simple understanding has the power to reduce stress, increase focus, improve performance, and transform the way a person approaches life. Yet many people spend their days worrying about things they have no power to change. They worry about what other people think. They worry about the past. They worry about circumstances they cannot influence. They worry about outcomes that have not happened yet. In doing so, they waste valuable energy that could have been used to improve their own lives. The truth is that life will always contain uncertainty. There will always be situations beyond your control. You cannot control every obstacle that appears in your path. You cannot control the actions of other people. You cannot control unexpected setbacks. You cannot control the opinions, judgments, or decisions of everyone around you. Trying to control these things is like trying to control the weather. No matter how much energy you spend, the result remains the same. You become exhausted without changing anything. What you can control is how you respond. You can control your attitude. You can control your effort. You can control your preparation. You can control your decisions. You can control your habits. You can control your mindset. These are the areas where your power exists. These are the things that directly influence the quality of your life. When you focus on what you can control, you become stronger. When you focus on what you cannot control, you become frustrated. Think about how much time people spend worrying about the opinions of others. They avoid opportunities because they fear criticism. They stay silent because they are afraid of judgment. They stop pursuing goals because someone doubted them. But the reality is that you cannot control what people think about you. No matter what you do, some people will support you and some will criticize you. Some will understand your vision and some will not. If you spend your life trying to manage everyone's opinion, you will never have enough energy left to build your own future. The moment you stop obsessing over what others think, you gain freedom. You realize that your responsibility is not to please everyone. Your responsibility is to become the best version of yourself. People will always have opinions. Let them. Their opinions do not determine your potential. Their judgments do not define your worth. What matters is your willingness to stay focused on your goals despite external noise. Another thing many people struggle to release is the past. They replay mistakes repeatedly. They relive failures over and over again. They carry regret like a heavy weight on their shoulders. But no amount of worry can change yesterday. No amount of guilt can rewrite history. The past can teach you lessons, but it cannot be changed. When you spend all your energy looking backward, you lose the ability to move forward. This does not mean ignoring your mistakes. It means learning from them and then letting them go. Every successful person has made mistakes. Every accomplished individual has experienced failure. The difference is that they refuse to stay trapped there. They take responsibility, learn what they can, and continue moving. They understand that growth comes from applying lessons, not endlessly replaying regrets. The same principle applies to the future. Many people spend enormous amounts of energy worrying about things that have not happened yet. They imagine worst-case scenarios. They create problems in their minds before those problems exist. They become anxious about outcomes they cannot predict. While preparation is valuable, excessive worry is not. Worry often creates suffering without creating solutions. When you focus too much on uncertain outcomes, you lose sight of the actions available to you right now. Instead of asking, what if everything goes wrong? Ask yourself, what can I do today? Instead of worrying about the final result, focus on the next step. Progress is built one action at a time. The future is influenced by what you do today, not by how much you worry about tomorrow. One of the reasons successful people accomplish so much is because they direct their energy wisely. They understand that energy is limited. Time is limited. Attention is limited. They refuse to waste these resources on things outside their control. Instead, they invest them where they can make a difference. They focus on preparation rather than prediction. They focus on effort rather than excuses. They focus on solutions rather than complaints. Imagine two people facing the same challenge. The first person spends their time blaming circumstances. They complain about the economy, other people, bad luck, and unfair conditions. The second person acknowledges the challenge but immediately begins asking what can be done. They focus on improving skills, adjusting strategies, and taking action. Both individuals face the same reality, but only one directs their energy towards something productive. Over time, that difference in focus creates dramatically different results. The ability to focus on what you can control also strengthens resilience. Life will not always go according to plan. There will be disappointments. There will be unexpected obstacles. There will be moments when circumstances seem unfair. During those moments, you have a choice. You can become consumed by frustration over things you cannot change, or you can focus on the response you can control. One choice drains your power. The other increases it. Every challenge contains elements you cannot control and elements you can. You may not control the obstacle itself, but you control your attitude toward it. You may not control the setback, but you control your next move. You may not control the circumstances, but you control your determination. This shift in focus is incredibly powerful because it moves you from a position of helplessness to a position of action. There is also a deep sense of peace that comes from accepting what is outside your control. Acceptance is not weakness. Acceptance is wisdom. It means recognizing reality without fighting against it unnecessarily. It means understanding that some battles are not worth your energy. It means letting go of the need to control every outcome and instead focusing on doing your best with what is available. Many people create stress by demanding certainty from an uncertain world. They want guarantees before taking action. They want perfect conditions before beginning. They want complete control before moving forward. But life rarely provides these things. Waiting for certainty often means waiting forever. The people who grow are those who take action despite uncertainty. They focus on what they can influence and trust themselves to adapt to what they cannot. Every day presents countless opportunities to practice this mindset. When someone criticizes you unfairly, focus on your response. When plans change unexpectedly, focus on your adjustment. When challenges appear, focus on your effort. When fear of the future arises, focus on the actions available today. These small decisions strengthen your ability to stay centered and productive regardless of circumstances. At the end of the day, your life is shaped not by everything that happens to you, but by how you respond to what happens. You cannot control every event, but you can control your character. You cannot control every outcome, but you can control your effort. You cannot control every challenge, but you can control your determination. These are the things that truly matter. The most powerful people are not those who control everything around them. They are those who have learned to control themselves. They have learned where their influence begins and where it ends. They have stopped wasting energy on things beyond their reach. They have chosen to focus their attention, effort, and mindset on what they can actually change. And because of that, they move through life with greater clarity, greater confidence, and greater purpose. When you stop chasing control over everything and start focusing on what is truly yours you unlock a level of freedom and strength that can transform every area of your life. Most people understand the importance of training their bodies, but very few understand the importance of training their minds. They know that physical strength requires exercise, repetition, and consistency. They know that muscles become stronger through resistance and effort. Yet when it comes to the mind, many people assume that mental strength simply appears on its own. They believe confidence, focus, discipline, resilience, and self-control are qualities that some people naturally possess and others do not. The truth is very different. Mental strength is not something you are born with. It is something you build. Just like a muscle, your mind becomes stronger through daily training. Every day, whether you realize it or not, you are training your mind. The question is not whether you are training it. The question is how you are training it. Every decision you make strengthens a certain mental habit. Every action reinforces a pattern. Every thought you repeatedly entertain becomes easier to think again. You constantly give in to distractions. You train your mind to seek distractions. If you constantly avoid challenges, you train your mind to avoid discomfort. If you constantly make excuses, you train your mind to depend on excuses. On the other hand, if you consistently choose discipline, focus, courage, and persistence, you train your mind to become stronger. The mind follows patterns. Whatever you repeat becomes familiar. Whatever becomes familiar becomes easier. This is why daily mental training is so important. You cannot expect to have a strong mind during difficult times if you have never trained it during ordinary times. You cannot expect to stay focused under pressure if you have spent years practicing distraction. You cannot expect to remain disciplined during challenges if you have spent years following convenience. Strength is built before it is needed. Think about an athlete preparing for competition. They do not wait until the day of the event to begin training. They prepare long before the challenge arrives. They spend countless hours practicing, improving, and strengthening themselves. As a result, when pressure comes, they are ready. The same principle applies to mental strength. Every challenge you face in life is testing the habits you have been building. When adversity arrives, your mind will rely on the patterns it has practiced repeatedly. One of the most important ways to train your mind is through discipline. Discipline is mental exercise. Every time you do something that needs to be done, even when you do not feel like doing it, you strengthen your mind. Every time you wake up when the alarm rings instead of hitting snooze, you strengthen your mind. Every time you choose your goals over distractions, you strengthen your mind. Every time you follow through on a commitment, you strengthen your mind. These actions may seem small, but they create powerful mental habits over time. Many people underestimate the impact of small daily decisions. They are waiting for a dramatic opportunity to prove their strength, while ignoring the everyday moments that actually build it. Mental toughness is not created in a single moment. It is created through thousands of small choices. It is created every time you choose discipline over comfort. Every time you choose responsibility over excuses. Every time you choose action over procrastination. These moments may not seem significant individually, but together they shape your character. Another important part of training your mind is learning to manage your thoughts. Your thoughts influence your emotions, your decisions, and your actions. If you allow negative thinking to dominate your mind every day, it becomes harder to remain confident and focused. This is why mental training requires awareness. You must pay attention to what you are thinking. You must challenge thoughts that limit you and reinforce thoughts that empower you. Just as an athlete watches their physical condition, you must monitor your mental condition. Training your mind also requires learning how to handle discomfort. Most people naturally seek comfort. They want easy paths, quick results, and immediate rewards. But growth rarely happens inside comfort zones. Growth happens when you stretch yourself. Growth happens when you face challenges. Growth happens when you do things that require effort and persistence. Every time you willingly step into discomfort for the sake of improvement, you strengthen your mind. Consider how many opportunities people miss because they are unwilling to tolerate discomfort. They avoid public speaking because it feels uncomfortable. They avoid taking risks because uncertainty feels uncomfortable. They avoid difficult conversations because confrontation feels uncomfortable. They avoid pursuing big goals because failure feels uncomfortable. In every case, comfort wins and growth loses. But people with strong minds understand that discomfort is often the price of progress. They do not run from it. They learn from it. Resilience is another quality that must be trained daily. Life will challenge you. There will be failures, disappointments, setbacks, and obstacles. These experiences are unavoidable. What matters is how you respond to them. Every setback is an opportunity to strengthen resilience. Every challenge is a chance to practice persistence. Every difficult moment is an opportunity to develop emotional control. The more you train yourself to keep moving despite obstacles, the stronger your mind becomes. A strong mind is not a mind that never experiences fear. It is a mind that refuses to surrender to fear. A strong mind is not a mind that never experiences doubt. It is a mind that continues moving despite doubt. A strong mind is not a mind that never struggles. It is a mind that keeps fighting through struggle. This strength does not appear overnight. It is developed through repeated exposure to challenges and repeated decisions to keep going. The people who accomplish extraordinary things often share one common trait. They have learned how to train their minds consistently. They understand that success is not just about talent or intelligence. It is about mental habits. They know that focus, discipline, resilience, confidence, and self-control are skills that must be practiced. As a result, they invest time in developing their mindset just as seriously as they develop their abilities. One of the greatest benefits of daily mental training is that it creates confidence. Real confidence does not come from positive thinking alone. It comes from evidence. It comes from proving to yourself repeatedly that you can handle challenges. Every time you overcome an obstacle, your confidence grows. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your confidence grows. Every time you stay committed despite difficulty, your confidence grows. Confidence is built through action, not wishful thinking. Mental training also improves focus. We live in a world filled with distractions, notifications, entertainment, social media, and endless information compete for attention every day. Without training, the mind becomes scattered. It becomes difficult to concentrate on important goals. But focus can be strengthened like a muscle. Every time you resist distraction and stay committed to a task, you train your ability to concentrate. Over time, this creates a powerful advantage because focused effort produces greater results than scattered effort. The reality is that your future depends heavily on the condition of your mind. Skills matter, opportunities matter, resources matter, but your mindset determines how effectively you use all of them. A weak mind can waste great opportunities. A strong mind can create opportunities where none seem to exist. This is why mental training is one of the most valuable investments you can make. Every day is an opportunity to strengthen your mind. Every challenge is an opportunity to build resilience. Every temptation is an opportunity to practice discipline. Every setback is an opportunity to develop perseverance. Every moment of discomfort is an opportunity to grow stronger. The process is not always easy, but it is always worthwhile. Remember that your mind is the control center of your life. It influences your actions, your habits, your decisions, and your future. If you neglect it, you limit your potential. If you train it consistently, you unlock possibilities you never imagined. Just as a powerful body is built through daily exercise, a powerful mind is built through daily discipline, daily focus, daily resilience, and daily growth. Train your mind every day, and over time you will become the kind of person who can remain strong when others break, focused when others quit, and determined when others give up. That is the power of a trained mind. That is the power of taking control of your thoughts, your actions, and ultimately your destiny. Before you leave this moment, I want you to remember one thing. Your life will never rise above the level of your mind. The battles you win in your mind become the victories you experience in your life. The battles you lose in your mind become the limitations that hold you back. Everything starts there. Not in your circumstances, not in your bank account, not in your background, not in what people think about you. It starts with what you choose to believe, what you choose to focus on, and what you choose to do every single day. Right now, there are two versions of you standing at a crossroads. One version continues living on autopilot, allowing fear to make decisions, allowing excuses to steal opportunities, allowing distractions to consume valuable time, and allowing negative thoughts to control the future. The other version chooses to take control. That version understands that discipline is more powerful than motivation. That version refuses to be controlled by emotions. That version stops listening to the voice that says, I can't, and starts listening to the voice that says, keep going. The question is simple. Which version will you become? Because make no mistake, your future is being built right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not next year, right now. Every thought you entertain, every decision you make, every action you take is shaping the person you are becoming. Success is not created in one giant moment. It is created through small choices repeated every day. The choice to stay focused when distractions appear. The choice to keep going when motivation disappears. The choice to believe in yourself when doubt shows up. The choice to get back up when life knocks you down. There will be challenges ahead. There will be days when you feel tired. There will be days when you feel discouraged. There will be moments when quitting seems easier than continuing. But those moments do not define you. What defines you is how you respond. What defines you is whether you allow those moments to stop you or whether you use them as fuel to become stronger. The truth is that greatness is not reserved for a special few. Greatness belongs to those who refuse to surrender control of their minds. It belongs to those who keep showing up. It belongs to those who stay disciplined when others quit. It belongs to those who keep fighting even when nobody is watching. It belongs to those who understand that the strongest weapon they will ever possess is the mindset they develop every day. So as this message comes to an end, don't just feel inspired. Make a decision. Decide that from this day forward, you will control your mind instead of letting your mind control you. Decide that your fears will not define your future. Decide that your excuses will no longer have power over your dreams. Decide that no matter how difficult the road becomes, you will keep moving forward. Because the moment you take control of your mind is the moment you take control of your life. And when you truly master your mind, there is no limit to what you can become. The battle is waiting. The choice is yours. The future is watching. Now go prove to yourself what you're really capable of.